Hello, I am the narrator, and before this episode begins, Maddie will be talking about another Pokemon, Venusaur to be more precise. This Pokemon is the next evolution of Bulbasaur. She will be talking about some of the features about this Pokemon. Later, George will join in, and he will tell you what this Pokemon was inspired by, including the plant on its back. So now that you are a little bit more intrigued, let the show begin. Good morning, everybody. My name is Maddie, and today we're going to be talking about Ivysaur, the Pokemon. So this Pokemon is the second of 3 evolutions. Bulbasaur was the first one, and then Venusaur is the next evolution up from Ivysaur. And then, of course, there's also Mega Venusaur. So like Bulbasaur, Venusaur is a grass and poison type, and is weak to fire, psychic, flying, and ice type Pokemon. So, Venusaur is still based off of frogs in general, but today in this episode we're going to be comparing it to the American bullfrog. And the pod on its back, it's still the same corpse lily as Bulbasaur's. This Pokemon is a seed Pokemon, and its number is 002. Now here are some... Wait, but the people don't know what Venusaur is. Go for it. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is George. And today we're really talking about the American bullfrog. This American bullfrog looks pretty average when it comes to frogs. It's like a nice normal size, I'd say about like that big, maybe a little bit bigger. And it's, well, the genders are quite different. Female is a little bit bigger than the male, and it's a lot darker brown, a little bit more black. Even the circle right behind its eye is a bit bigger. The male, of course, it's actually a little bit smaller, and it's green, nice green, beautiful head, and light brown back, yellow neck, along with another little smaller circle behind its eyes. These frogs can survive for 16 years before dying. They like to live in North America, Asia, Nevada, South America, Europe, Cuba, United States, and there's one more. It's Mexico. Yes, Mexico. And in these locations, they like freshwater ponds, marshes, and lakes. The American bullfrog like to eat worms, salamanders, insects, very common. They also like fish eggs and tadpoles. But their predator, on the other hand, are raccoons, water snakes, and turtles, and more. Their scientific name is... It's not a simple word, but I know it. Lithobates cates biennis. Yes, Lithobates cates biennis. Up in the north, the mating season is May through July, and down more south, the equator. The mating seasons are February and October. There's something else. Doesn't it have to do something with the female and the eggs or something? Come on. Yes. The female will lay about 20,000 eggs. And once that happens, the male will fertilize them for about 4 days. And then it will take about 3 years for the tadpole to fully become into an adult frog. After that, it will take another 3 to 5 years for them to start mating, going into their mating season. Now, if you look at this card... Wait, but I didn't say anything about the plant yet. You can't forget about the plant. But we did that in the last video. They can go see that plant in the Bulbasaur episode. You just start making people go on a wild goose chase. You shouldn't do that. Well, aren't you just gonna say the same thing over again? Well, yes, yeah, I did have that in mind. Then, no, we could just use the same clip from the previous episode and just plug it in here. You don't need to do that. Okay, you got me on that one. Now, if you look at this plant, you can see that it is very large in size. That is the first thing right off the bat. But you can also see the petals. They're kind of rough looking, almost like leather, with white bumps on it as texture. And then if you go to the center, there's like an in cave, a little hole. There's a bunch of spikes inside. The seeds. Well, they basically look like a nut. Just a normal little nut. And it's mostly round. And you can actually see like little indentations of the petals that will be forming over time whenever it starts to sprout. Hang on, what was it? Rafflesia. Yes. The Rafflesia, that's what it's called. Smells like rotting meat or flesh, so that it can attract large amounts of flies, where it can eventually eat, digest. Kind of like a Venus flytrap, except the petals don't close on them. Something that I found very strange and unique about this plant is that it has neither leaves or roots. Which, if you think about it, that doesn't exactly make any sense. Because those are like the main two things that keep plants alive. Now, if you look at this plant, it's huge, it's beautiful. And it would last for about a year, or maybe even a couple months. Just like many people, you are terribly wrong. It lasts 5 to 7 days before it dies. Which, I guess that kind of makes sense for the whole no leaf or roots thing. A man that goes by the name of, oh, come on. I had it. It was right there. Hang on, give me a minute. Jonah Arnold. Yes. Joseph Aron. He was the very first person to discover this carnivorous plant beast. So here I have on a piece of paper is a direct quote from the Pokédex about the Ivysaur. So, there is a bud on the Pokemon's back. To support the weight, Ivy's legs and trunk grow thick and strong. If it starts spending more time laying in the sunlight, it's a sign that the bud will bloom into a large flower soon, which basically means that it's going to evolve into Ivysaur, because that was its next stage where the flower on his back is actually bloomed. So, fortunately, this is the end. I want to thank you for watching. If you are fascinated by this Pokemon, there are links in the description that go more into detail of the information I found. Without further ado, please like and subscribe, and good night. And good night. This is the end of the video, end of the video, end of the video. Pew pew. End of the video, end of the video. This is the end of the video. Pew pew. Pew pew. Pew pew. End of the video, end of the video, end of the video. Oh oh.